Founder and president of Bond, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. For the past 25 years, the organization has been working to resolve to restore men and families with its unique programs and services. Reverend Peterson is a media commentator as he appears frequently on Fox News, CNN, and other media outlets. He hosts a national radio show called the Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show, which airs Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., and that's Pacific time. He's also the author of 2 books. The titles are From Rage to Responsibility, and the second book is Scam, How the Black Leadership Exploits Black America. In 2013, he founded the Bond Leadership Academy, a private school for boys and girls as an alternative to failing inner city public schools. One of the things that makes Bond unique is its fiercely independent streak. The organization has never accepted a dime from government money to operate its programs and services, and you can learn much more about this from Jesse Lee Peterson and Bond by visiting www.bondinfo.org. So let's all welcome Reverend Jesse Peterson.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to see so many people here, and everybody looks so happy. What are y'all happy about? I'd like to start out by saying that, I need to take my phone out so I can keep up with the time here, because I'll go on and on and on and on. Right? I'd like to say first that I am not an African American. I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro. There are no African drums beating in my chest. The American guitar is playing in my heart. I was born on a plantation down in Alabama. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws, but I am 100% American. Also, I hear that some people think I hate women. I do not hate women. And the reason they think that, I gave a talk once in my Sunday morning services, and I was talking about how things are really getting bad, and it's gotten worse, and the ladies have been allowed to go. But who did it to us was the liberal women, that they have just changed everything. They hate the family, they hate the order of the family. We now have abortion going through the roof. We now have same-sex marriages, just all kind of stuff. And I said we need to start dealing with that. We are pointing out what the liberal men are doing, but we're not pointing out what the liberal women are doing, and they're getting away with it. But when it went out into the media, it was so twisted that I couldn't even believe it. It was mind-blowing. But I don't hate anyone. God said that we should love one another, even our enemies. That doesn't mean we accept what they do that are wrong, but we don't hate them for it. We stand up and deal with it, but don't hate. And that's what we're doing, and we're teaching folks at Bond how to do the same thing. So, I do not hate women. I hate no one, all right? And this is our country. We have to fight together. Our battle is not a physical battle, folks. It is a spiritual battle. It's a battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. It's not about male or female. It's about good versus evil. And those who are on the side of good need to fight against those who are on the side of evil. Because you do have people who serve good, and you have those who serve evil, like Barack Obama and others. So we need to stand up and realize it's spiritual. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. I have to tell you, we are in trouble in America today, like I've never seen before in my entire life. I never thought that one day we will have a president of the United States of America who is a black liberal, black liberation theologist, redistribution of wealth, a man who hates Christians, he hates the Jews, he hates capitalism, he hates everything that's good about America. He's doing all that he can do and has done it in the last 6 years, now working on 7 years, to turn America upside down. And he is allowed to do it because he's black.
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing. It's because he's black, and America is afraid, white Americans are afraid to be called racist, and that included the Republican Party representative. They are afraid of being called racist, and the liberal media supported this man, and the Republicans are afraid that they're going to be presented as racist, and so they allow this man to lie, deceive, and destroy this nation. There's nothing at this point that can stop Obama because the representatives and many white Americans are afraid. And if you're a black conservative Christian, you're under attack as well for standing against them. You're called Uncle Tom, you're called this and that. And that is just crazy to me. I don't know what to say about that. The worst thing that you can have in life is fear. It's the worst thing you can have. If you're afraid to raise your children in the right way, they'll put you out of the house. They'll take control. And that's what's happening. Because of fear, America is losing its way. And I'm going to tell you how to overcome that fear. We've got to overcome this fear, and we must overcome it right away, sooner rather than later. Barack Obama hates Christians, and he hates Jews. That's why he doesn't have a relationship with Israel, and he doesn't have a relationship with the Christians in this country. And I tried to warn the country back in 2008 when Barack Obama first announced that he was running. I said, do not vote for this man. This man sat under Jeremiah Wright Jr. for 20 years. And when asked, well, did you know he was a racist? Oh, no. I didn't know that. Jeremiah Wright Jr. married he and Michelle. I call Michelle Obama Big Mama Michelle. I'll tell you why in a minute. But he married them. He baptized their children. They gave lots of money to Jeremiah Wright Jr. And he claimed that he didn't know that Jeremiah Wright Jr. was a racist. And I said then that Barack Obama is a liar. And you cannot trust a liar. Have you ever been married or dated a liar? Anybody? They don't ever change. They never change. Some people do, in about 50 years or so. But I said, Barack Obama is a liar. Barack Obama is Jeremiah Wright Jr., Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. He's all of those wrapped in one. And you know how evil operates. Evil starts out really slowly, and it'll destroy you, then it'll destroy your family, then it will destroy the cats, the dog, the grass, and it just gets worse. It just gets worse. It builds up if you don't stop it, right? And so no one has stopped the so-called civil rights leaders, people like Jesse Jackson and others. They have managed to intimidate white Americans for nearly 50 years or so, telling them, well, if you don't do this for black people, if you don't do this or that, then you're racist, and we're going to protest you. We're going to go after your company. And white Americans have caved into that. And as a result, you've allowed them to create Barack Obama. That's how it came about, because the so-called civil rights leaders were never stopped from dividing the races for their own personal gain. And that's why we have Barack Obama today, and he's worse than any of them, because that's how evil operates. Barack Obama never tells the truth about anything. Anything. Nothing. It doesn't matter. If he said, don't believe it. It's not the truth. I'm telling you, it's impossible. And the reason for that is because he is the son. Satan is his father. He's the son of Satan. He's the son of the deceiver. He is the son of a liar. And that's why he cannot tell the truth. It is not in him to tell the truth. He would never tell the truth. So don't believe anything that he says, but he knows how to seduce you. He knows how to make you feel good. He says all the right thing, but doesn't mean any of it. Not one iota. And I have to tell you, I've gone to Israel a couple of times. I love Israel. When I was growing up, we were taught that it wasn't for Judaism, there would be no Christianity. And black Americans taught us to love Israel. And so when I went there, it was like paradise. It's like I was walking through the Bible. It's almost as though I went home. It was so beautiful. And so we're going to take some of the young black kids to Israel so they can see what's going on. Because we have to stick together as one. We have a president now. Now I cannot 100% say, but I can almost 100% say that he is a Muslim. But the way he acts and the way he defends Islam, I mean, right now he's real passionate about it. I mean, he's as passionate about Islam as I am about Christianity. You know, I love to stand for what is right, represent good, tell the truth, treat people the way I would like to be treated, defend Christianity. He's doing that with Islam right now. I mean, he is so into it, it's like he's not hiding it anymore, almost. He's not hiding it. He is not on our side, folks. Be not deceived. And my concern is because he has degraded the military, he has weakened the country, he has brainwashed a lot of the young a lot of the young children in our country, college kids and others. And I am very concerned that at any point we can have suicide bombings in this country. We can be out in crowded places, we can have shooting and killing up because there's nothing to stop it. At this point, we have the borders wide open. Everybody and their mama coming in. They're bringing in diseases and stuff. We have 5 million illegal aliens to come in, adults and children, and Obama secretly took them and implanted them in communities around the country without physical examinations or anything, and we don't know that they're there because we don't know who they are. They have brought diseases. Now we have all types of diseases that are breaking out again that we once had overcome. And Barack Obama is to blame for that because he's somewhat to blame. But in reality, we the people are to blame because the power is in the people, not in the government. The government only have the power if we give it to them. And unfortunately, we have given the power over to the government. But we're going to take it back, and I'm going to tell you how to win it here. We will take it back. And so now we have this situation happening in our country, and I'm very, very, very concerned about it. We have already had a beheading in Oklahoma. Remember that situation? A beheading in the United States of America. And I know, workplace violence. What happened today? What happened at your job today, honey? Oh, nothing. A lady got her head cut off. No big deal. Stress on the job, you know. We've had police officers who have been attacked by Muslims. New York, remember the Hatcher guy? In New York, now they're shooting them and killing them. Barack Obama and Eric Holder and Al Sharpton have managed to divide the races more than any other time in history. When President Bush was in office, 30% of black Americans thought that this country was a racist society. Under Barack Obama, 80% of black Americans believe that it's a racist society. Isn't that amazing? And we're more divided because that's what Obama wanted. If he can divide us, they can continue to use black Americans by keeping them angry and believing that the issues about color so that they can gain power and wealth, so they can destroy the country. So we're divided. We saw in Ferguson, Missouri, everybody knew, anybody with any common sense knew that had nothing to do with race. It wasn't about racism at all. You have this thug, Michael Brown, who was not properly raised, by his failing parents, go into a convenience store, rob the store, attack the clerk, walk outside, attack a cop, try to take his gun or whatever you attack him, get shot, blood everywhere, and then runs away and turns around, come back at the cop again. The cop killed him, and the cop is called racist. And at the funeral, Barack Obama sent 3 representatives to a thug's funeral. You had T.D. Jakes from Potter House Ministry, Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, and others went and gave a hero's funeral to a thug. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Tell it.
And they praised God, and they prayed, and they act like they were children of God, honoring a thug. And I'm thinking, what type of message is this sending out to other children, boys and girls who have not been raised by good parents? They're telling them, you can be a thug. You can attack white cops. You can rob a store, and we're going to honor you. We're going to use it. And see, they're using that for their own personal gain. It wasn't that they cared about Michael Brown at all. No. Michael Brown was just a means to an end. And now they have not been able to find any evidence that Officer Dan Wilson was acting or dealing with Michael Brown because of color, right? No proof. The federal government went in under Eric Holder, investigated, no proof. Now they're going to go after the police department. Oh, there's racism in the police department. Isn't that amazing? Rather than apologizing to the country, I'm sorry, we were wrong, we made a mistake. They destroyed the Officer Wilson's life. His life is on threat every day now. There's no apology to him, no attempt to help rebuild this man's life. They just go to the next victim. And so what they want to do now, they want to turn, this is like the redistribution of power. They want to take out the white police chief and replace him with a black one. Never mind, he doesn't have to be qualified, he just needs to be black. And they want to replace other officers with black folks in the police department. That's what this is about. And most of the time, the people that they put there cater to people like Barack Obama and others. They're putting their friends in position. And that's Obama's plan. He wants to take away from white Americans because Obama believes that white Americans around the world have gone on injustice to black people of color. And so his mission is to change that around the world. And that's what they're doing right now. And you need to be aware of it and stop being afraid and stand up and deal with it. You've got to stand up and deal with it. When I was growing up in Alabama, I mentioned that I grew up under Jim Crow law down in Alabama, right outside of Montgomery, near Tuskegee. And I remember for colors only signs, for whites only. I went to a movie theater once, and black people were not allowed to sit with white Americans. We had to sit in the balcony. We were not allowed to sit together. And I was okay with that. I was like 15 years old because we had a better view. You know what? No problem with me. I like being able to see, right? But I have to honestly tell you, one other quick story. My great-great-grandfather he was the head of the plantation that I grew up on at one point. And my great-grandfather hired another black man who was fired from another plantation. And when the white folks heard that he had hired this man, they came and asked him to get rid of him, not to hire him. And my great-grandfather said, no, I'm going to hire him anyway, I'm going to keep him. And they came back one night to try to kill my great-grandfather in bed. But he had a gun under the bed, and he was able to run them off. So I'm for the Second Amendment all day long. And so they were not able to succeed at killing him that night, but they came back again some other night. And my great-grandfather went for his gun, but his wife had removed the gun from the bed. And everybody was like, why did you remove the gun? Well, I thought he was going to hurt himself or get in trouble. But they were able to kill him that night. And yet, we were never taught to hate. We were never taught that everybody was evil. We were taught that there's good and bad in all races of people. And to treat people the way that we would like to be treated. I was not taught to hate. Not one iota were we taught to hate. And that's what it should be now. But we've gotten away from that. We got to return to that. We got to teach our children it's about good versus evil. It's about character and not color. And you can find bad and good in all races of people. You have to treat everybody based on character, not color. Long story short, I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18 years old. I moved out here to California. And on my own, I moved to my aunt's house and I lived with her for a while. And I started listening to people like Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan and others. And they were saying that white people hate black folks. You know, I'm 18 years old at this time, 18, 19. And I started listening to these people. They were preaching racism. I remember once going to hear Louis Farrakhan at the Forum in Inglewood, California. And Louis Farrakhan finally told us where the white people came from. See, you guys don't know where you really came from, right? You think you're from Europe. But, and so he told us where white people, how they came about. He said that black people were the first on earth, and black people were really smart and good folks, and some black men decided to turn evil. And when they turned evil, they went into a laboratory and created the blue-eyed devil. So that's how you guys came about. You're not from God, you're from the hands of an evil black man. And you know what's so weird about that? What's so weird about it? When you're angry, you believe the lie.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? When you're angry, you believe a lie. Yeah, for an example, you could be married for 50 years or so. You can know your husband or wife, and one day the husband go off to work, and normally he's home at 5 o'clock every day, right on the dot. So this particular day he's late, and Satan could whisper in your ear, oh, he's out cheating on you. And you're like, what? He's cheating? And Satan says, yeah, he cheated, he's late. And he hasn't called you. And the moment you believe that lie, you believe into that lie. And now you see your husband in a totally different manner. He doesn't look the same anymore. He speaks the same word, but you don't believe them anymore. Have anybody ever experienced that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so because you believed into a lie, right? And so your husband comes home and he's like, well, where have you been? He goes, oh, we had to work a little late today. Why did you call me? Honey, I'm sorry, I just didn't pick up. No big deal. No, you were out cheating. I know it. I just have this feeling. Woman's intuition. What are these men doing here today? This is a woman's club, right? A woman's intuition, right? But the only thing that happened is that you believed into a lie. And that's what has happened to black Americans. They believed into a lie. They believe their black leaders, that white folks are against them, that racism is holding them back, and they believe that lie. Whoever caused you to believe a lie will control you forever until you overcome that lie. And so they're keeping black Americans angry by constantly telling them that white folks are against them, that white police officers are against them, and now most black people, not all, have fallen into that lie. They cannot believe the truth. Not one iota. And that's why for the last 25 years, we've been telling black Americans to overcome their blackness and focus on character. Because if you focus on character, you will judge people based on that and not their color. Not if they're male or female. You would judge them by their character. This is so-called Black History Month, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Black History Month. And so we put out a challenge to black Americans this month. Instead of focusing on your color this month, which is a racist month, by the way, I dare them to have a white history month. All hell will break loose.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be on, I've already done Sean's show for today. I had to pre-record it since I was coming here, his radio show. And we were talking about my article about Black History Month. I said, get over your blackness and develop character. And because if they don't get past that color thing, there were people like Barack Obama will deceive generation after generation after generation, right? So Martin Luther King Jr. said to black Americans, don't hate your enemies, don't hate anyone, overcome with good. Because he understood that if black Americans did hate, then white folks and Hispanics and others who were on the side of good will all join forces with black Americans representing good. But Jackson and others taught them to hate. It's racism, and that's why they're being controlled. But long story short, so I came out here and I started listening to the lie. And the first time in my life, I started to resent white people. Because there was no one around saying that Jackson and others were lying. No one around saying that. So the media said they were telling the truth. They said it, and they looked like important people. I was a kid, so they looked like important people. And I started to resent. And as you know, when you resent, you become like what you resent. Because what you put out comes back on you. And my life went to hell like 90 going on. I became very insecure and doubtful, and I had so much conflict that I started smoking marijuana. Anybody else smoke marijuana? Okay, only 3 honest persons. 3 honest people. Okay, another hand. Can I see another one? Well, this young lady want to raise her hand. She's doing this. But I did it because I was trying to get rid of the guilt that I had, the conflict I had for being angry, right? I ended up on welfare for the first time in my life because we were taught to work and not to. I didn't even know government helped folks when I was growing up because we worked and did for ourselves. I picked cotton. Anybody else pick cotton? You have not lived until you pick cotton. We were taken out of school twice a year to plant the crops and to bring them in, right? So I know how to work. But I was told that, America owes you something because you're black. If you're on drugs, go down to the welfare office and just let them know you can't work because you're on drugs. So I'm like, oh, cool. So I ran down there and I told them I couldn't work. I said, look, I smoke pot, I can't work. They said, all right, don't worry about it. And they gave me $300 in cash a month. They paid my rent. They gave me free health care. They just took care of me. It was so bad that all I did was party. I used to set up parties every weekend at my house because the government was paying for it, right? And one day I realized, you know what? I'm getting worse in life. I'm not getting better. This is not, because if you don't work, you lose that desire to work. You don't want to take care of yourself anymore and do for yourself, right? And so long story short, and I write about it in my book, From Rage to Responsibility. I was 38 years old, and I remember one day I asked God, because I had become so insecure and just, I had this emptiness, this void in my life. So I asked God, let me see myself. I had read in the Bible that the most powerful thing you could do is to know yourself. And I didn't really know myself. I didn't know what was driving me. So I asked God, let me see myself, right? And I forgot that I asked. If you really don't want to hear from God about the truth, about yourself, don't ask. And so I said, let me see myself, right? And I forgot that I asked. And so one day I'm getting dressed to go wherever, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I have a flash of what I look like on the inside. And I was all dark. It was like a wicked darkness that I have never seen before. And I could not believe it. I'm like, wow, that's what I look like? And I realized then that I needed to change. And so I heard a preacher once said that when you pray, just ask God, just be quiet and let God work through you. Because normally when I pray, I was begging God for something. Oh Lord, bless my mama, bless my daddy, give me some money, I want a house, and I used to ask God for a wife all the time. You ever ask, the guys, have you ever asked God for a wife? I used to ask God for a wife, and every woman he would give me, I could not handle her. I was too weak. And so I said to God one day, you know what? I'm not going to ask for wives anymore because I can't handle it. I'm too weak. So if you want me to have a wife, just give it to me. But if not, don't worry about it, right? But this time I'm sitting quietly because I wanted to understand myself. And all of a sudden, God caused me to realize that I resented my parents. What happened was, my mother got pregnant when she was about 18, I think, and she wasn't married. And growing up in Alabama in those days, it was an embarrassment to have children out of wedlock. And so my mother told my father, I'm pregnant by you. And he said, no, that's not my baby. I don't want anything to do with it, right? And my mother became angry at my father from that day forward. And my mother ended up marrying my stepfather before I was born because it wasn't such an embarrassment to have children out of wedlock. Isn't that beautiful? Nowadays, you can have children by 5 or 6 men, different men, and no big deal. But in those days, it was an embarrassment to have children out of wedlock. So my mother married my stepfather before I was born, and but she didn't want anything to do with my father. And when I was born, I had this desire for my dad. Inside of my body, I yearned for my father. I didn't put it there, and I knew that this man wasn't my real dad. Even though he was trying to be nice to me, I still knew he wasn't my father. I wanted my dad. And when I would ask for my father, my mother said, oh, he's no good, forget about him, he doesn't love you. It was a problem with them, it wasn't with me, right? And so I became angry about that. God allowed me to see while in prayer that anger that I had toward my parents were holding me back in life. And I have to tell you, the worst thing that can happen to boys and girls, children, period, is to be turned away from their fathers. When you turn children away from their fathers, you turn them away from God. It's a fact. And they grow up empty. Girls look for love in all the wrong places. Boys grow up angry and with that emptiness and void. And when God caused me to realize that, I knew I had to apologize because he said, when you forgive others, he'll forgive you. And so my mother came to town to visit her sister. And long story short, I ran over there. I was so scared. I'm 38 years old at the time. And I had fear on me. And I thought, why am I afraid of my mother? And I remember whenever I was trying to ask about my father, she would yell, right? So the closer I got, the fear would overtake me. And I went in the house, and she was laughing and having fun. And I took her in the room, and I said, I want to apologize to you. All of my life, I have resented you because you tried to keep me away from my father. And I realize now that I'm wrong for holding that against you. I'm sorry about it. And for the first time in my life, she told me about her life, and the same thing has happened to her. And it's been passed down from generation to generation because no one deals with it. And she apologized. And the moment that I forgave my mother, God forgave me. And he took away all of that emptiness, that void, and he set me free. And I've been dealing with more hell in the last 25 years than I've ever had to go through. But because I can see that it's spiritual and not physical, I know how to overcome evil. I know how not to let it overtake me by being angry about it. So the way back, folks, is you got to stop being angry and know that God is with you so that he can work through you to defeat evil. He really will. And as a result of waking up, I said, oh, this is the problem with Black Americans. It's not racism, it's the destruction of the family. And from that, we started Bond, the Brotherhood's organization of a new destiny. And our purpose is to rebuild the family by rebuilding the man. We're encouraging all men to turn back to God, love him with all your heart, soul, and might, get married, and then the husband and wife guide their children in the right way to go. If we can return to the family, we can change this country just like that. It is a responsibility. I'm going to make this short because I want to take some questions. It's the responsibility of the family to guide the children in the right way to go, not the government. Yes. Not the government. As a result of the destruction of the black family, every day over 1,800 black babies are aborted. When I was growing up, I never heard of abortion. Not at all. But every day, because that father and mother is not there together, every day, according to blackgenocide.com, anywhere between 1,200 to 1,800 black babies are aborted every day. And when we try to get the black preachers involved because we protest the clinics, they say, oh no, a woman has a right to her choice.
What?
Who am I to judge? This is coming from black preachers. There are 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills in the inner cities. 70%, and there's nothing being done about it. And the reason is Planned Parenthood is giving money to the preachers and the so-called civil rights leaders, and they love the money more than they love the soul of the black Americans. Every day. Black on black violence out of control. And nothing's being done about it. Because they don't care about the people. This is why we got to bring people back to themselves to take control of their own lives so that they will not be used in that manner. We are tutoring and counseling and guiding children in the right way to go so they can get married and judge people based on character and not color. We are known for the National Day of Repudiation of Jesse Jackson. For 5 years we had rallies in front of his Rainbow Push office. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, we want to show the contrast between Dr. King's dream and Jesse Jackson's nightmare. Martin Luther King Jr. said one day black Americans would be judged by the contents of character and not color. Jackson's nightmare is that blacks are judged by their color because that's where their focus is. It's not on character. Dr. Martin Luther King said that one day we should become one nation under God. We're more divided today than any other time in history. Any other time in history. We got to change that, all right? And so in closing, because I want to take some questions here, our battle is a spiritual battle, a battle between good and evil. Over the last 25 years, I've been called every name in the book and then some. I've been banned from radio stations. I've been called Uncle Tom, sellout, Uncle Ruckus. You hate your mama, you hate your daddy, you hate your color, you hate the gays, you hate this and you hate that, right? I've been called the wife of don't move when I say this word. I'm saying it, not you. All right? Because white people hate, they're afraid of that word. I've been called nigger so many times by black people. You ever heard that word? Yeah. White people are afraid of that word, right? I've been called nigger so much by black people, not white folks, that I was thinking about changing my middle name. I said, you know what? I was telling my staff, I'm going to change my middle name from Jesse Lee Peterson to Jesse Nigger Peterson. And you know why? Because I love what's right more than anything else in the world. It was the truth that changed my life, allowed me to see, and I'm unwilling to sacrifice that truth for anybody or anything. I love what's right. I love my country. I love my kids. I love my country. And I'm not going to let evil bring fear upon me or call me names to control me. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Black Americans need to hear the truth. They need to hear the truth. They're not getting it in their homes, in their churches, in the public schools. And there are a lot of white folks are not telling them the truth because they are afraid to be called racist. And unless you overcome that fear, you can say goodbye to America. It's gone. Because it's the one thing that's holding you back. And if you're afraid of black people, just tell them the truth and then run. You know, just and the truth will work for itself. All right? It'll work on your behalf, but do not be afraid of telling the truth. You need to know that God is with us. They don't have God on their side. The liberals are children of the devil, and the devil only have intimidation. If they can intimidate you, they can control you. But if you're not afraid, they cannot intimidate, they have no power. All right? God is with us. Don't be afraid. We can win this spiritual battle that we're fighting and save our country. All right? Thank you so much.